Pause your scroll because this is not your everyday headline. We are talking about a scandal so intense it is shaking social media to its core. King Harris, son of hip-hop icon T, has been viciously assaulted in jail immediately following his sentencing. And let me tell you, the scene is more chaotic and raw than most people could even picture. Did he really believe his flashy Instagram streams, diamond-studded chains, and untouchable persona would shield him behind bars? Think again, King. Reality does not bend for famous parents. The so-called street king just received a harsh dose of humility, and the shocking footage is spreading like wildfire across the internet. But the story does not end there. There is an unexpected twist coming. Was this just a spontaneous jailhouse fight or a carefully orchestrated strike meant to send a message? Some insiders whisper about gang politics. Others chalk it up to karma finally catching up with him. But one thing is clear. King Harris's latest drama is not a single night of trouble. It is a collision of ego, influence, and a legacy teetering on the edge. Stay tuned. What unfolds next might be the decisive blow for the Harris name. King Harris. Even the mention of his name ignites social media like wildfire. Son of the self-proclaimed King of the South, T, heir to a sprawling hip-hop empire, and yet, somehow, this young man transformed inherited privilege into a blueprint for disaster. From the beginning, King never behaved like a typical celebrity kid. He carried himself like he was invincible. Flashy Instagram lives flaunting cash, viral clips of wild nights in clubs, speeding down highways with cameras rolling, living as if no rules could touch him. And why should he have thought differently? Fame at home, doting parents, and millions of followers applauding every reckless stunt. But the higher the ego, the harsher the crash. October 2024 was the moment when illusion shattered. King decided to leave a gas station like he was auditioning for a Fast and Furious sequel. Reckless swerving, blaring music, phone in hand, pure showmanship. Then came the near miss. A police cruiser almost collided with him. It was not just embarrassing. It was a glaring neon warning. His luck was running out. Officers didn't just pull him over for reckless driving. They caught the pungent scent of marijuana filling the car, thick enough to choke a room. And of course, King had a Glock strapped to his hip, treating it as casually as a chain or designer sneakers. One officer allegedly muttered, "He thinks this is a fashion show." But the real shock came when they ran his records. A cascade of skeletons tumbled out. Outstanding warrants, missed court appearances, a suspended license, DUI, speeding violations, proof that privilege alone could not shield him from the consequences of his choices. It was as if King had been playing a twisted game of legal bingo and hit every single square. Failure to appear in court, check. Reckless driving, check. Carrying a firearm, triple check. And yet there he sat, unnervingly calm, as if it were just another ordinary Tuesday. No shouting, no resisting, just an eerie stillness, the kind that suggests he already sensed the party was over. Of course, the internet feasted on it. Within hours, the clip of him riding in the back of a squad car exploded online. Memes, hashtags, TikToks, endless content mocking him. Some joked, dubbing him Court Jester Harris. Others framed it as poetic justice. That is the price of living as though the rules do not apply to you. Yet, for a fleeting moment, a hint of sympathy surfaced. Some murmured, he is just a kid making mistakes. But how many mistakes does one get when they involve drugs, guns, and putting lives at risk? This was no minor slip-up. This was a firestorm, and King was holding the match. The contrast made it even more surreal. One day, he was showing off luxury cars on Instagram, BMWs, Lamborghinis, even his father's Rolls-Royce. The next, he was cuffed in the back of a police vehicle, face pressed against the glass, while flashing cameras turned his downfall into spectacle. In just 24 hours, the internet had turned his rise from penthouse luxury to jailhouse humiliation into a collective amusement, laughing from every corner of social media. You would think that humiliation alone might have been enough. Perhaps the arrest would finally jolt him awake. After all, his father T had been shouting warnings for years. Get it together, son. The streets will not protect you, they will devour you. But, like every classic cautionary tale, King dismissed it. He believed he was different, the one who could play with fire and never get burned. Spoiler alert: fire does not play favorites. Then came the trial. The courtroom buzzed with reporters, influencers, and bloggers, all waiting to see if the privileged son of a rap superstar would slip through the cracks. Some fans believed T.I.'s connections would bend the system in his favor. Others prepared to cry nepotism strikes again. But reality hit hard. The judge saw no celebrity kid, only a young man with a criminal record longer than his Instagram bio, a clear danger to the public. When the gavel fell, King Harris was not just sentenced, he was confronted with a reflection of every reckless choice he had ever made. The sentencing itself became a social media spectacle. Tweets ignited within seconds. One viral TikTok joked, "First day of school vibes, accepted as jail orientation." But behind the humor, tension simmered. While some laughed, others asked themselves, how will a kid like King survive behind bars? This was no nightclub. This was not an Instagram live with thousands of cheering fans. This was prison, and prison does not care if your father has Grammys on his shelf. Still, King walked in with his chin raised, trying to mask fear. Eyewitnesses claimed he smirked at reporters as he stepped inside, as if challenging the world to doubt him. But a smirk cannot shield you when a cell door slams shut. Inside, the rules change instantly. Status symbols outside mean nothing in a world dictated by hierarchy, politics, and survival. And that is when the story took its darkest turn. Hours after the sentencing, whispers began circulating. Something had happened within those walls. At first, details were murky: a scuffle, maybe a heated exchange. Then the leaks emerged. Words like attack and brutal started appearing across comment sections. Anonymous accounts claimed it was no accident, they had been waiting for him. Others suggested it was a test of the so-called king. By the time the first shaky footage surfaced online, the internet erupted once again, watching King Harris's downfall unfold in real time. The footage offered little clarity: blurry angles, muffled shouts, a shadowy figure being shoved. But one fact was undeniable: King Harris was no longer untouchable. Overnight, the memes morphed into gasps, the jokes into anger, the laughter into urgent speculation. What had actually happened in that jail cell? Who orchestrated it? And why did it occur so soon after his sentencing? Was this just the harsh reality of prison consuming a pampered celebrity kid, or was there something more calculated behind it? The world demanded answers, and it demanded them fast. Whispers quickly escalated into a roar. What began as a few unclear frames of King being shoved down a jail corridor erupted into a viral spectacle that no one could contain. Within hours, hashtags were trending across the globe: hashtag King Harris attacked, hashtag chaos behind bars, and the brutal favorite hashtag reality check for King. The online frenzy was more than curiosity, it was obsession. Everyone wanted the same question answered: who dared to touch T.I.'s son and why? Official statements were frustratingly sparse. Jail authorities downplayed the incident, labeling it minor with no serious injuries, a textbook case of damage control. But anonymous voices online painted a far darker picture. An alleged inmate insider tweeted, "This was not random. 3 guys jumped him to send a message." Another source suggested that King's loudmouth attitude and flashy demeanor had rubbed fellow inmates the wrong way, making him a target within minutes of entering the cell. Then the footage surfaced. Grainy, shaky, yet undeniable. The world could no longer look away. For King Harris, the illusion of invincibility had shattered, and the digital realm was watching every moment of his fall. The footage showed King Harris handcuffed and pressed against a wall as fists rained down on him. One shove jerked his head back, another slammed his shoulder into his ribs, and the hall reverberated with shouts. Guards eventually intervened, but only after the damage had already been done. The clip lasted less than 30 seconds, yet it felt like an eternity. In that brief span, King Harris's entire persona, the flashing chains, the boastful attitude, the untouchable swagger, shattered like fragile glass. The internet erupted. Fans flooded social media with reposts, captions screaming, "From VIP to victim in seconds," and memes multiplying on TikTok. One viral clip stitched together King's flashy Instagram live moments with the jailhouse brawl, ending with the caption, "Real life ain't Wi-Fi." Harsh? Absolutely. Addictive for viewers? Undeniably. But the mood was not entirely amused. Anger spread across platforms. Tweets began tagging T directly, "Your son is not safe. Do something before it is too late." Others called for official investigations, demanding accountability for what had unfolded behind bars. The spectacle was no longer just entertainment, it was a glaring warning, and the world was watching every twist. How does a high-profile inmate end up getting attacked just hours after sentencing? Who is pulling the strings behind the scenes? Theories spread like wildfire. Some argued rival gangs had planned it, sending a clear message. Others whispered it was personal, a setup fueled by resentment over King's swagger, walking into prison like he owned the place. And then there was T, the man who built a hip-hop empire from grit and hustle, now forced to watch his son crumble on a global stage. One anonymous family source told gossip outlets, T is furious. He had warned King that this life was no game, and now his worst fears were unfolding. Blogs ran with it, plastering headlines such as, "T breaks down after son's jail attack," even without a verified quote. But truth hardly mattered when the drama was juicier than reality. King's mother, Pamela Warner, added another layer to the spectacle. Paparazzi caught her outside her Atlanta home, visibly shaken. The images hit TMZ instantly, Pamela in tears after her son's brutal attack. Did she speak to reporters? No. Yet anonymous sources claimed she blamed the system, the media, and even T himself for letting King spiral out of control. Meanwhile, the streets had their own commentary. Rappers, influencers, and self-proclaimed experts weighed in. One rival rapper posted on Instagram, "You cannot flex forever. Karma always wins." Another hinted that the attack was mild compared to what was coming next. Suddenly, this was no longer just a jail incident. It had morphed into a cultural spectacle, feeding an endless appetite for chaos. And then came whispers of something far bigger. Alleged prison sources suggested this was not merely a clash of egos or the attackers, allegedly tied to outside crews, were making a calculated statement. Power was the motive, claimed one insider. They wanted to prove that behind bars, no one is untouchable, no matter the fame. Some theorists took it further. This attack was designed not only to humble King, but to strike at T.I.'s legacy itself. In this version of reality, the fall of the son was meant to send shockwaves straight to the father. For T.I., it was the nightmare he never saw coming. Years spent crafting his image as the reformed hustler, the wise mentor, the family man, all of it unraveled in days. Fans who once praised his redemption now mocked him online. If he can't control his own son, how can he preach to anyone else? The criticism was merciless, relentless, and in true internet fashion, stripped of all compassion. Then came the whispers about Pamela. Reports claimed she hit her breaking point, blaming T.I. for letting King play the gangster role instead of stepping in sooner. One gossip site quoted her angrily saying, "I warned him. I warned both of them. And now look where we are." Whether true or not, it painted a raw picture of a family ripped apart by prison walls, by betrayal, by grief, and by millions of strangers watching every second unfold. Meanwhile, the online backlash grew wilder. Comment sections became battlegrounds. He got what he deserved. Privilege can't save you from reality. He's just a kid who needs help. Y'all love to tear down young black men. The debate raged endlessly, messy and loud, but profitable. Every view, every share, every argument poured money into platforms that thrived on the Harris family's public unraveling. And then came the darker whispers, the ones painting King's attack as more than bruised egos or karma catching up. A viral thread claimed this wasn't some random scuffle between inmates. No, this was a message delivered straight from the outside. Enemies of T.I., it alleged, wanted to remind him that power in music means nothing against power in the streets. Another post added fuel, hinting at a bigger game at play. King was just the pawn. Conspiracy or not, the story had grown beyond King Harris. It wasn't just about a reckless young man anymore. It was about legacy, control, and the cold truth that fame cannot shield you when bigger forces decide otherwise. And here's the chilling part. While fans argued over theories, while T.I. and Pamela scrambled in private, King remained inside, still vulnerable, still living a nightmare the internet devoured like a binge-worthy drama. Every day for him meant another gamble, another fight, another headline, another round of humiliation going viral before he even healed from the last one. So, what comes next? Does King Harris rise from this wreckage to reclaim his life? Does T.I. somehow bend the system to save his son before it swallows him whole? Or is this the Harris dynasty's breaking point, the moment where fame, pride, and reality collide so brutally that nothing escapes untouched? Because make no mistake, this chapter isn't closing. If anything, the attack was only the spark. The real explosion is just beginning. What started as the fall of a flashy, untouchable celebrity kid has now turned into a cautionary tale unfolding before millions. And the real question isn't simply about what happened inside those prison walls, it's about how far the fallout will reach when the dust finally settles. So, where does this go from here? Does this brutal takedown signal the abrupt end of King Harris's ambitions before they even had the chance to take shape? Or are we witnessing the messy beginning of a redemption story no one saw coming? Think about it. We've watched stars fall from grace before. We've seen careers crumble, reputations destroyed, and, in rare cases, we've seen comebacks that stunned the world. But King's situation feels heavier, different. This isn't about a single bad decision. This is about years of defiance, arrogance, and ignoring every warning until reality came crashing down, harder than anyone expected. Now, the spotlight is locked on him, unrelenting, as each bruise, each leaked clip, and every rumor fuels a media circus the internet can't get enough of. Yet beneath the memes, the outrage, and the endless commentary lies the real question. Can King actually survive this storm? Will the system shield him or break him further? Will his family unite to protect what's left, or will the pressure tear them apart completely? And most importantly, is King Harris on the verge of becoming just another cautionary tale, a name people forget after the chaos fades, or will he somehow turn this disaster into a story of defiance and reinvention? That's the tension gripping everyone right now, the cliffhanger no one can look away from. Because the story isn't done. The footage, the speculation, the fallout, it's all still unfolding in real time. So what do you think? Is King Harris a victim of circumstance, a target of something bigger, or simply facing the consequences of his own actions? Drop your take below, share the madness, and stay tuned because the next chapter promises to be even wilder.